Hello, my name is Greg Massi, and this is episode number 31 of The Color of Air, a podcast about the musical journey. You could find us on the web at www.colorofair.com. We're on facebook.com/colorofairpodcast, on Twitter at The Color of Air. You can email us at colorofairpodcast@gmail.com. And for any and all musical projects that I'm involved in, currently you can go to www.retconrecordings.com. So I'm back from a nice little vacation, but admittedly, it's now the crazy season. A lot of stuff to talk about in my own personal musical life going on. This coming weekend, July 25th and 26th, 24th and 25th, whatever the date is tomorrow. Concilium, the band I'm in, is going into the studio to record some demos. Then, August 7th, at Kodo in Salem, Massachusetts, Concilium is opening up for Monarch, a band from France. So if you're in the area, please come out to that show. It should be pretty cool. And then I've been talking about it for months now. We're almost there. This is the home stretch for rehearsals and practicing. But the end of August, from the 23rd through the 30th, Toby Driver is having his week of curating the Stone in New York City. And it all starts off on Tuesday, I believe that's the 23rd of August, with two shows from a reunited Maudlin of the Well, an 8 o'clock show and a 10 o'clock show. And then on Wednesday, there's an 8 o'clock show doing Choirs of the Eye with K.O.Dot, which I will be a part of. And then I believe the 10 o'clock show that night is K.O.Dot doing Coyote. And then on Friday of that week, I will be doing, I believe that's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, the 26th. I'll be playing the 8 o'clock show with Toby and Nick Hudson, who you may remember from this podcast. And we're still figuring out what the hell we're going to play that night. But if you're in the area, if you're in New York, and can make it to one of those shows and can get in, I will be honest that, the Maudlin shows are probably going to sell out. Just based on the amount of demand we've gotten so far and the fact that you can't buy tickets ahead of time. The K.O.Dot shows are probably going to sell out too. I'm not sure about the Nick Hudson show, if it's going to sell out or not, but if you're in New York and if you missed the Maudlin show or the K.O.Dot show, just be aware that there's going to be a whole week of shows that Toby's doing. So if you don't get to see those shows, there's plenty of stuff going on every night from Tuesday through Sunday, 2 shows a night, various different projects and things going on. So I recommend it highly to anybody in the New York area or who can travel to the New York area. And hopefully I'll see you there. But on to the podcast. So this week's episode features my interview with Ryan Adams, the guitar player from the Connecticut band NightBitch. And this was an interesting one. It was one that took a while. We originally were supposed to do this back in January, but things always happen, come up, and nothing major. Just things come up and prevent us from getting together and doing this. So it finally came to a point where I was in Connecticut visiting my family, and NightBitch happened to be doing an afternoon show in New Haven. So it seemed like the perfect opportunity. The only downside was that yours truly forgot to change the batteries in his Zoom recorder. And trying to record this in a bar with no outlets at my disposal to plug in the adapter meant that I had to rely on what little battery power I had. And you could probably tell in my voice, I'm probably still I probably come across sounding kind of nervous. I'm sure I did, because I think every 5 seconds I was checking the battery to make sure, is it dead yet? Is it dead yet? And so what should have been an hour-long interview had to be cut down to about a half an hour, just so that I could survive the batteries, and at least get some sort of a coherent end to the podcast to make it a coherent interview, so it didn't just stop in the middle of a conversation. So, and that sucks because I've gotten to know Ryan a little bit more in talking to him and trying to get the interview together, and then hanging out with him at the show. It was such a blast. He's such a good guy. It's just so much fun catching up with him because, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Connecticut. Ryan's from Connecticut. We're about a year apart. He kind of grew up in Meriden, Connecticut, which is where Toby and Byron were from. So they knew him. I never really knew him, but he had this whole other experience that I never got to have, which is that, he went to school in Connecticut and he was part of the metal scene for many, many years there, as a fan, as a musician. And so he's got this whole perspective on something I never really knew existed until after I had moved out of Connecticut. And, and I felt bad about that because, here I was thinking Connecticut was the most boring state in the world, which I guess it probably is, but there was a whole bunch of stuff going on which I could have been part of, which I completely missed out on because, well, who knows why. But so catching up with them was a lot of fun for that reason, to kind of get a firsthand experience of something I never got to see in my home state. So that was fun, and just, I think we have a lot of similar interests, music-wise. We both really love the 70s kind of stuff. If I had more time, I would totally get into more of his influences, like the Judas Priest, the Ritchie Blackmore stuff. I really would have wanted to get more in depth with that. But, it was just a lot of fun talking to him. So, take it for what it is, a short interview. But if you hear it and you like it, please check out NightBitch. They're on Bandcamp. I think it's nightbitch.bandcamp.com. Ryan also has another project called One Master, which you should check out as well. And, I don't know if we had a chance to really do the plugs for him, but yeah, please check out his material. He's a great dude, great musician. And to start off, I'm going to play you a little NightBitch. And this is from their new self-titled 10-inch. And this song is called Caged Heat.
This is all October Rust tour when they opened up for Queensryche.
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
They played at the Meadows, wherever the fuck they call it now. But I had friends, like, I was just a little nerd and would call publicists without shame and be like, hey, I want to interview, whatever. So I interviewed Josh Silver on their bus at that. And then they told me it was a big deal, like, you can't videotape the show. Like, they wanted to hold on to, like, my camera, like, the venue staff. I was like, this isn't even mine. Like, this is cable access. Like, you're not touching this. Like, fuck off. No. And so they're like, all right, well, you better not, if we see you taping, we're going to throw you out. I'm like, all right. So I'm totally sitting there in my fucking seat, like, taping it from, like, the first rafter.
Still have the tape of it?
Killer bootleg. Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing.
They did Are You Afraid to Die? And he goes, this song I'd like to dedicate to Mr. Kurt Cobain for committing the ultimate act of heroism. Like, it was a fucking killer set. Like, I'm totally used to, like, I'm shooting it on the fly.
Well, it's funny. I never actually saw Typo Negative live in their heyday, which really kind of...
Oh, bummer.
They're one of those bands that I probably didn't get into as much until after...
Okay.
There's
plenty of things. Dude, I'm like Deep Purple. Like
Deep Purple. Oh, it happens so much with me. And, but, I do remember... I almost saw them once. I always classify it as like that period between 96, 97, where I felt like I saw Life of Agony open up for every single band I saw. You could probably relate to that. I'm sure you probably
saw. I have
a
video. I interviewed them when they opened up for Ozzy at the New Haven Coliseum.
Was that in 95?
It was.
Yes, yeah, I was at that show.
It was January 96. I just found
I was at that show too.
I want to start digitizing. My buddy writes for Loudwire, and I want to see, like, the quality is really good. So I want to see if I can maybe get them to host some shit.
Yeah.
It's like 20-year anniversary of so much of this is coming up. Like, the first show I ever taped it'll be next month, 20 years. It was Fear Factory on the Demanufacture tour right when it came out. And I got them at the LNG Club July 95. So I want to have that be the first thing.
Was that Fear Factory? Was that when they were touring with
Flotsam?
Flotsam. Okay, that's a different tour. Because I remember my friend saw when Sepultura toured with Fudge Tunnel and
Clutch.
Was it Clutch?
I think Helmet might have done some shows too.
Wow. Yeah.
I totally wish I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you and I are from kind of the same period.
Totally.
So we're recording now.
Awesome.
As much as I didn't change the batteries on this, so I'm hoping that it lasts as long as it will.
Okay, cool.
So, go for it. So yeah, we're in a new location for me for recording in the back of the club. You just played an awesome show.
Thank you very much.
So I guess my first question explain the origin of the sleaze.
The origin of the sleaze.
Yes.
Or
basically the band,
Well, Greg, it all started when I went to Catholic school. Yeah. There was this thing where after 11 o'clock at night, Showtime would play some really sleazy shit, and I liked it.
Did you have the movie channel too?
No, just Showtime. HBO for a while, though.
Okay.
Showtime.
I was wondering if you watched Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater as well.
Wasn't he on USA a bunch as well? Yeah, USA Up All Night. Just being like a young Catholic school pervert who loved tits. And, yeah, seriously, like, we have a song called Caged Heat on the new 10-inch.
Yes, love that song.
And that's named after a movie that I saw, like, over my friend Bubba, the, like, jacked dude that was here. He's been, like, my best friend since I was maybe 7. And growing up, sleeping over his house, watching, like, Showtime late night, we saw the movie Caged Heat, like, women in prison, and it blew my fucking mind. I was like, this is so awesome. And it stuck with me, and, like, 20 years later, I had to write a song about it.
I can relate to that because I was the same way in Catholic school and watching late night movies.
Totally, yeah. Like, I don't want to be like, I feel bad about kids these days, but seriously, the whole ritual of going to a fucking home, can I cuss?
Yeah, of course. Sweet. You can say whatever the hell you
Glorious.
want.
But yeah, going to the video store, like after school, going to sleep over your buddy's place, or just your parents are cool and taking to the video store. And the whole ritual of picking out a movie, looking at the box, it would always have like killer art, sometimes had nothing to fucking do with the movie.
Yeah.
But, I miss that. Like Netflix, it has its merits, but it's no substitute for going to the video store and picking out, 5 cheap old non-new releases for $5 and getting them for 5 fucking days. Like,
yeah.
You can't top that. So I think that we come from a generation where, And that aesthetic and the movies of that era, like, fuck CGI, man. I hate
totally.
it. Michael Bay should be strung up. I hate it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The same kind of aesthetic, we have an intense pool game going on behind us. With the way you present the music of NightBitch too, because you guys do like the very limited releases, the 10 inches, the 12 inches. You don't have a CD. You don't have.
We've only got one CD, and we don't have any more copies. You could probably find it online, but it was our first thing, and we don't have any interest in really doing CDs at this point.
Yeah. You're kind of going back now. Do you do the digital stuff too? Because I haven't seen much.
Yeah, we've got a Bandcamp page. I mean, instead of people buying a CD now, go to the fucking Bandcamp, give us $1, and do whatever the fuck you want with it. You know?
Buy a T-shirt.
Totally, yeah.
An offensive T-shirt.
And plus, I mean. Yeah, CDs, they definitely serve a purpose. I still buy CDs and listen to CDs, but I just think it makes more sense for, especially our aesthetic. I'd rather someone have the album cover 10 or 12 inches, you know?
Yeah, I'm the same way, yeah.
It's so much better than looking at, like, your little 1x1 square on an iPod or iPhone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was my thing, too, in the early 90s, because we were buying CDs or tapes for the most part at that point.
Definitely. We've done 2 tapes.
Oh, yeah, see?
Yeah.
But I wanted that vinyl experience, and so I would find myself buying vinyl,
bigger
buying
artwork,
Kiss
sometimes
vinyl, Iron Maiden
Absolutely.
vinyl. Those were the ones that I wanted because I wanted the ones that had like the really big artwork that I could.
Fuck yeah. And then growing up, going through my parents' record collection, looking at Kiss records, Led Zeppelin, what was it? Led Zeppelin, I'm going to totally out myself as a false. Is it 2 or 3 with the crazy the spinning bullshit where?
Oh yeah. Shit, I think it's 3.
3. Yeah,
I think it's 3.
But I mean, it's just such a cooler thing to be able to hold in your hand and go through the liner notes. I was the nerd that would go through whatever I was into. Look at the thanks list.
You read the thanks list.
Yeah, totally.
Same way, and I was just talking about this with someone because I remember we had when my friend Toby, when he got the Atheist album, it was when we didn't have zines or anything like that. He just saw it in the store and he's like, oh, this looks cool. It's called Atheist, so it's got to be cool.
and it was.
And it was, yeah. But he saw the name of the studio that they recorded at, and it had the phone number, and he called them up, and he's like, oh hi, is Kelly Schaefer there? And the guy goes, yeah, I think so. Hold on one second. And then he got freaked out, so he hung up real quick because
That's funny you say that because I used to do totally the same shit when I was 15. My first real band was called Capernaum, and Jay, the guitar player, went on to do a lot of production stuff. Lives down in Florida now, and. We met when I was 15, he was 14. He was with his brother, who was the drummer of Capernaum. We met at Morrisound Studios in Tampa with that dude Bubba that was here earlier. Him, my grandmother, my uncle, and I, we drove down to Florida to our place in West Palm. And I was going to do a little zine back then before I even did public access bullshit. And I was like, I want to try and interview Cannibal Corpse. So I set up a fucking interview with Paul and Alex, who were doing their taxes at Morrisound at the time. And when I was down there doing that, I met Jay and Jordan, his brother. Found out they lived 40 minutes away from me in Connecticut. We exchanged info, and that summer, I joined their band.
That's all. All right. Hold on a second here.
We would totally nerd out, though, going through all the book, calling up places.
Right.
I think one time, I think there was a holy grail quest to try and find Glenn Benton's phone number or something prank call him or something ridiculous like that.
The best thing I ever heard about Glenn Benton was there was a metal girl at my high school who I was super scared of because she was into death metal and I wasn't. but so she was friends with a bunch of metalheads, and they apparently went to go see Deicide, and one of their friends wanted to impress Glenn Benton, so he got the 6 from a typewriter, burned it and tried to put 666 in his forehead. Except he didn't put the pressure enough on it on the top part of it, so the stem didn't show up. So it looked like it just said 000. And apparently he met Glenn Benton, and Glenn Benton was just what an idiot.
That's perfect. I should note that I think maybe a year or two ago, Jay actually recorded the last Deicide record. So
wow.
Now he can prank call Glenn Benton.
That's amazing. All right, it's interesting that you mentioned. I did not know you were in Capernaum.
Yeah, I was the original. Well, the band did like 1 or 2 demos before me. There's like 3 guys, but they didn't ever really play out. I think they did 1 show. Jordan was like 9 or 10 at the time, but when I joined, he was like 11. And yeah, I'm on that first CD, Reality Only Fantasize.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting to me is because I grew up in Connecticut too. You grew up in Meriden. I grew up in New Britain. And
Yes.
and I was never really a part of the music scene when I was in high school. I was too fucking shy, and I was too nervous. I had stage fright. There was no way for me to,
I can relate. I was the biggest fucking nerd. Still am, but like
right.
I was like, yeah.
But there's this. I feel like there's this whole scene of shows that developed in Connecticut that I never went to.
Okay.
And a friend of mine was telling me once after I was in college about Capernaum, and it was like, oh, they're the best Connecticut metal band. And like, I'm hearing about these shows happening in New Britain where I grew up, but down at like what used to be
the fucking Caesars.
Yeah, Caesars Arcade.
You know what we used to call it?
What?
Gazaris. We used to call that Caesar, whatever the fucking old dude was, we used to call him Gazari.
Oh,
reference
man.
to, Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. Like,
yeah.
Bill Gazzari.
Yeah.
Perpetual light shine upon him. That's a real sleaze hound.
Well, it's funny because like, Caesars was where I walked down to play the video games.
No shit.
Yeah, it was right down the street from my house.
Wow.
Had I known there was a metal venue going down there, I would have gone down there when I was visiting. So I felt like there was this whole aspect of Connecticut metal.
Parallel universes.
Yeah, that I never got to experience. And so it's really interesting for me to hear about this.
So how did you, living in New Britain, how did you get into Maudlin of the Well then and like get with Toby and those guys?
We went to high school together.
Oh, no shit.
That's really honestly it. It's just like we hung out all the time and... Toby and Byron would go to shows with people because they were the cooler...
Byron was a year ahead of me at St. Joe's Elementary School. And he always wore that mesh back fucking Slayer hat.
Yeah, yeah, I know the exact hat you speak of. But they were a little bit like people wanted to hang out with them. They never wanted to hang out with me. I was more of like, I don't know, I was like a total outcast. But anyway,
I was like the nerdy short hair. I was the Catholic school guy that like totally didn't fit in.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel as bad, but we were just friends, and honestly, we would record shit at home on different different projects, and then after like the summer before we went to college, we got together and recorded this one song together, and we combined our abilities, and that was it. So we recorded the song thinking, okay, that's about it. And then Toby's like, oh, I got some more songs. And then Thanksgiving, Christmas of '96, we started doing more and more. And then all of a sudden we have music.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it was just more just from being friends with them. And
you guys were a way better band from Connecticut.
Well, I still haven't heard Capernaum, so I can't judge. And I would never judge because, anyway.
I was raised Catholic, dude. I judge.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I know. I went to Aquinas. So that's why I was kind of interested in talking to you too, is because I feel like you have this kind of eye view of this whole scene that I never experienced, and so I was always curious about that, about the shows.
It was cool. It was fucking peculiar. I was just telling a story the other day. My buddy Joe, awesome kid, he's like 24, but he was schooling me on like Tony Martin era Sabbath. Kid's a fucking encyclopedia of metal.
I did a tribute to Tony Martin era Sabbath.
No way.
Yeah.
Must listen. That's awesome. But I was telling Joe about, we were listening to the Suffocation live album, which for whatever reason I hadn't heard, but it's fucking great. And I was telling him how the first time that I saw Suffocation was in the back of a pizza joint in Plainville. It was called Maxaluna's, and Jamie from Hatebreed would do the booking there. Like Capernaum played there. We actually opened for Vital Remains and Master there.
Really?
Yeah, 96, I want to say.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I saw right after, maybe like 6 months after Pierce from Within came out, they played there. And it's like one of my first encounters with like hardcore dancing, I guess. I'd heard hardcore before. Like I'd listen to 88.7 all the time and hear awesome new music on there. And so I knew hardcore, but never really, been to a hardcore show. And I wasn't at a hardcore show. I was at a fucking death metal show.
Yeah.
And people were doing like all this spin kick bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is... I didn't think it was gonna be like this dangerous. But yeah, like I totally got like spun kicked in the back by a dude who like became my buddy like 2 years later.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But yeah, like people wearing backpacks and doing all these wiggerish arm movements to like suffocation slam riffs. What the fuck is this? It was awesome.
Well, yeah. So did you also go to? No, Toby always told me about the Hawthorne in Meriden. Was it the Hawthorne House or the?
Oh, the Hanover House.
Hanover House.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Hanover House.
Why did I think it was
Definitely,
Hawthorne?
I saw some great shows there. Fuck, what were some of them? There's like a lot of metalcore there. Like SOD played there. Not that they're metalcore, but I mean like, you know, Hatebreed, Converge,
right?
Blood
Yeah.
Shed, a lot of that stuff. But like Goat Whore played there on their like first album when the demo was out. Capernaum had played there with Messe Noir, who are awesome Meriden-based black metal.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's right. And you also, I remember talking to you, mentioned Tyrant Trooper.
Love Tyrant Trooper.
And I remember when I was taking guitar lessons, I took them at the music shop in Southington.
All right.
And I guess one of the guys from Tyrant Trooper also took his guitar lessons there. So they were selling the Tyrant Trooper CD at the music store. I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you were saying your family's like right in that area. John, the singer of Tyrant Trooper, owns fucking banging pizza restaurant. Killer
I know
bar,
you're telling
right?
me about that
yeah,
too.
The Fireplace. The
Okay,
mashed
I
potato
gotta go
pizza
there.
is fucking
I gotta
killer.
go there. All right, so, man, the freaking battery's running out again.
No.
Motherfucker. So, all right, we
I
only get a
won't
20-minute
go on
interview.
so many tangents
We can go off on
then.
so many tangents, so
Yeah.
we'll do a part 2 to this at some point. I wish there was a plug here I could plug in, but I don't think so. Well,
Unplug the ATM.
yeah, I know. No one needs money. What do you need money for? All right, so what about NightBitch? When did NightBitch start?
NightBitch started, I want to say it was like summer of 2008.
Okay.
No, that's a lie. It was 2009.
Okay.
Ipsissimus was on one of our many... Ipsissimus is my black metal band, one of my black metal bands. We were on hiatus because our drummer is like a Yale PhD guy, and he'd disappear for like a year to 2 years at a time, basically, over to Europe or Middle East to go on archaeological digs or take classes. So I'd have a lot of downtime from it. I'd been getting really fucking heavy into Deep Purple, and Danzig's been my favorite band since I was like 9.
Okay.
And
Cool.
no, that was a fib also. Probably 11, I'd say. Yeah, 7th
Doesn't matter,
grade.
close enough.
But, so I'd always been super into that, but for whatever reason, like Deep Purple was pretty much the catalyst. I just started revering the fuck out of Richie Blackmore and started playing some different kind of stuff. And I'd never had a band, playing in bands since I was 14. I'd never had a band with intelligible vocals. And I just met, through mutual friends, Phil Swanson, who is the singer for Hour of 13. Their first album had just come out. And turned out Phil lived like 20 minutes away in Hamden. So I started getting together with him. We started just writing stuff just to fuck around. And it just kind of happened. We just kind of got together. Chris, our singer, was originally our drummer. And he plays drums on the first record. He was originally going to play bass. But we were getting together one night, and our friend Mark, who's our bass player, before he became our bass player, was like, hey, like, let's have some beers and hang out, maybe jam. Fuck it, whatever. So I played him some of the stuff that that Phil and I had been working on, and Chris just naturally jumped on drums, because that's one of his many instruments. He also plays bass and now organ.
Yep, now organ.
We just started jamming. Mark hopped on bass, and we're like, wow, this is pretty fucking good. Like, way better than what I'd had in mind. So, boom,
cool.
We had it and started jamming together. Phil didn't even make an appearance until maybe like 6 months in. The other guys would be like, is Phil Swanson a real person? Does he exist? And he would just like record little demos at home and send them our way, and we'd keep rehearsing. And then he started coming down, and it kind of worked out pretty excellent.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Then we parted ways after we went to Dublin as the backup band for Hour of 13. They'd never played live, and that was just
cool.
2 people. It was Chad is a multi-instrumentalist, did all the writing, played every instrument, and then would send it to Phil, who would do the same thing, just hang out in his house and record the vocals and send them down to Chad. But they'd gotten these offers to play live, and they asked, hey, would you guys maybe want to be the backup band for Hour of 13? We're thinking like, sure, we'll play like Connecticut, New York, Boston, whatever, but Chad lived in North Carolina. And And they're like, no, like we got an offer to play Dublin.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
yes, we absolutely would.
Yes.
Fuck yes, take us.
That's awesome.
We parted ways shortly after that, very amicably, I'd like to say. Phil is a man amongst men. Really
cool.
admire.
And then that's when kind of when Chris took over on the vocals.
Yeah, originally I wanted this dude from another band that would play the Hanover House, this older cat, Ray. He sings in an awesome band now called Tear Gas Union. And he'd played like for years and years in Dio-centric, like Sabbath or Dio era, just Dio solo cover bands. And the dude has the fucking voice of Dio. It's almost like that movie Twins with Arnold and
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. So it's like you got the big Valkyrie guy, then you got like the little guy, and they have the same fucking voice. Like it was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, because the first time I saw NightBitch, Chris was actually playing drums and singing, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was Mark II.
That was Mark II.
That was Mark II. But
and so now you're on Mark III.
Yes, I had originally wanted this guy Ray to try out, but Chris was like, "Nah, man, like let me try." I was like, "All right, yeah, well, let's try it." Our jaws were on the floor. We're like, "Fuck yeah!" Well, I guess Chris is gonna sing now. But he did so while playing drums, and that was Mark II. We put out the Chainmaker record, and we did the Peculiar Worship cassette single, and then. Chris was like, you know what? I'd be a way better singer if I didn't have to worry about playing drums while I'm fucking doing it. And I basically said the only person that I'd really want to play with is Dave Parmalee. And it somehow came up in conversation. He's like, hey, what do you think about getting Dave? I'm like, dude, that's the only person for the job. Like, It has to be Dave. Who, in a strange kind of like way that everything comes around, I've known this dude for 20 years. The first show I ever played in a fucking band ever. It was awful death metal band when I was 14. It was at like this skate shop in Waterbury, and we went on first. We were called Holy War, and then Dave's band went on after us, and we just kept bumping into each other at Clutch shows or any show that we would go to as teenagers. We kept bumping into each other. We both did college radio, so we'd run into each other at shows in New York, and he became like the de facto New Haven area drummer, playing with a bunch of bands. And he came to see NightBitch one night because his band Red Blade had broken up. Meanwhile, we'd been talking about like, fuck, Dave's in so many bands, like we really want him to play for us. He ended up just randomly coming down to see us because his band just broke up that day. They were supposed to have a show that night. And I said to him, like, before we played, hey Dave, like, pay extra attention because I got something to ask you after our set. And he asked me, he's like, yeah, I can make time for that. And
oh, sweet.
Yeah, it worked out really nice. And then we did that for just a while, and Chris was like, got a wild hair across his ass, and he was like, I think I'm going to get a fucking Hammond organ. I'm like, yeah, dude, do it. And he taught himself. And
that's
now
amazing.
we're on Mark III. Yeah, like, that dude is so talented. Not only am I lucky to be in a band with, like, these three on a talent level, but the way that we've become friends over the years, it's, like, it's perfect. And the way that Dave fit in, like, everyone had known Dave on their own terms, and the fact that I'd known him for that long, it feels very, it's the way it should be.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
that's
yeah,
cool.
I'm really lucky with, we'll hang out for an hour and a half, eat Chinese food, watch sleazy bullshit, smoke cigarettes and other things, and just hang out for an hour and a half to 2 hours before we even touch an instrument. Like,
that's awesome.
We half joke that we're like a bad idea society that just happens to play songs together.
And so now you've got the most recent release is
the self-titled 10-inch.
Yeah, it's self-titled 10-inch. Thank you. And now, one question I was going to ask is, have you gotten any blowback from your
cover?
Because I feel like it embodies the Spinal Tap.
Totally. It's very tongue-in-cheek, very self-aware, but it's also kind of like a provocation because we've gotten some shit before. I won't tell like any stories because we're kind of like pressed for time. But we've definitely got some shit for our shirts and our aesthetic in general. But fuck it, that's what we like.
Yeah.
That's our chosen aesthetic. We're way into the exploitation films of the 70s and 60s even.
Yep.
And 80s as well. Fuck it, like I was saying, Showtime late night.
Yep.
But that's what we're into. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to listen to it.
You don't have to wear it.
You don't have to wear it. And hopefully it'll make you squirm in your seat a little bit if that's not what you're into.
But it's also amazing. Because here's the thing, too, and I'm still going so good.
Cool.
But one thing I felt like, because I feel like there's a lot of bands that have come out recently trying to do the whole kind of throwback sound.
Yeah, like
music.
retro. we're not really trying.
And then you're not exactly. It's like and then the other side of it is I think there's a lot of bands who do like kind of the super serious metal.
We're such serious occultists. Like, no, you're not. You're a fucking nerd who like.
And you guys are like the epitome of like fun. It's like your shows are fun. It's like it's heavy.
Thank you very much.
The music is good, but you can have fun at your show, and I think that's something that's sorely missing.
That's one of the highest compliments I think we can be paid.
Okay, good.
That's totally what we go for. Like, if you're not having fun at a NightBitch show, you're fucking doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, come drink too much, put on your dancing shoes, and make some bad decisions.
I thought you were going to say put on your Danzig shoes, and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
But Greg, then what a feeling when you're dancing on the ceiling.
Oh, Danzig.
Love the man.
Love him. And the last question I'll ask about NightBitch is, so what's the symbol mean? Does it have
That's
a
our
meaning?
proprietary sigil.
Okay.
And I found some online, like, Rosicrucian sigil generator. I shouldn't say online sigil generator. That makes it sound like way different. It's like actually this pattern that you trace out phonetic sounds. It's like a wheel.
Okay.
And around this wheel, there are different, like there's a th sound, there's like a ch sound.
Right,
like
yeah.
Every phonetic possibility is represented. And so you start with a dot, like a circle. Then you just basically go around the wheel and you connect the phonetic sounds, and where you end, you put a little straight line, and where it terminates, then you end up with this sigil that will spell out. If you're an earnest demonologist, maybe you're looking for Lucifudrafocal,
Yeah.
That shit might spell it out that way, but our sigil spells out NightBitch in this particular alphabet.
That's awesome.
And we just decided aesthetically to put like the two concentric circles around it and make it look more, more whatever it is.
Cool. That's awesome.
Cool.
And, cool, man. This is, it is a shorter interview. This has been a lot of fun. I mean...
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, for sure.
I know. I feel like we could have, I could always bring up radio DJ stories, because I'm sure if I mention the name Munzie Ritchie...
I saw him a couple months ago at the Defenders of the Old Festival. Fucking Mons. I saw him twice in a week, actually. I saw him at that, and then I was at some other show in New York. I'm total brain fart right now. Right. They're not happy about it either.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, man, the fucking Mons is still at it. That dude rules. I love Mons.
He's the one who got me into the first the Jersey Metal Festival. He got me a pass for the Jersey.
He's a prince, man. Fuck yeah, Munzie Ritchie, skateboard marketing.
Who else? Like there's Andrew Sample. Chainsaw from Metal Blade.
Chainsaw, friends with Chainsaw on Facebook. Dave Ciancio.
Yep, Dave Ciancio. Well, Dormouse was my guy at the Syndicate.
Did you hear that the fucking Tink just passed away? Remember the Tink, the guy who had the TV show, like he would be at every show videotaping. I think he was from Philly, but he was like a total fucking fixture on the East Coast. He'd be at like every show. Older guy, heavy set, big gray beard.
Wow, I never.
Yeah, Dormouse was like, I guess that was his mentor, but yeah, he just passed away like 2 days ago, so R.I.P. Tink.
Oh man, yeah, R.I.P. definitely, and yeah, those are that was
so much fun, dude. Remember CMJ fucking parties at like?
I never went to any of those.
Jesus! Oh man, it was so much fun.
I was such a loser, but all I did was I tried to get interviews.
I was a drunk.
Yeah, the main thing I did was try to get the highlight of that was getting an interview with Bruce Dickinson.
Oh shit!
And then making an ass out of myself on the phone and being like, he probably fucking hates me forever and ever. He's my idol, but he's gonna hate me forever.
Oh man!
Did you get that? Speaking of like sleazy movies, did you get the tape from Society 1?
Yes, I did.
I still have it. The blue tape, Sexual Society.
Man, but what is Matt Zane doing now?
I don't know. I know Insane Records.
Team up with him for a video. Actually, I would, no joke, I want to put this out there, I would fucking love to collaborate with like some kind of awesome smut house on a video. Like, I've just been cobbling together stolen footage. Like, I made a video for the song Caged Heat, the first track off the 10-inch.
Check it out on YouTube. Caged Heat, NightBitch.
Where I chopped up the movie Women in Cages with Pam Grier as the sadistic warden. But yeah, I'm stealing bullshit until I can conspire with proper,
Make an original.
Yeah, What's up, Joanna Angel? If you're out there.
Yeah, you have time to do a zombie porn, you can do a NightBitch video.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Come on.
Well,
Well, cool, man. I'm glad we got to talk for a little bit, and
for sure,
this is a lot of fun. We'll have you on again.
As a treat, Greg. Thank you, man.
Cool. Thanks.
Heck yeah.